The world watched with bated breath as Russian and Chinese troops thundered across the vast, frozen expanse of the Siberian tundra, their synchronized movements a powerful display of unity and intent. Their tanks rumbled side by side, and fighter jets screamed overhead in perfect formation. A show of force designed to send a clear message to the world. A new era of military cooperation had dawned. It was February 14, 2026, Siberian Shield 5, the latest and largest in a series of joint military exercises, was underway. The world's media captured every moment, broadcasting images of unity and strength. In the cockpits, Russian and Chinese fighter pilots communicated in their native tongues, yet their purpose was shared. A symbol of growing trust and a united front against perceived Western threats. Overseeing it all, Presidents Putin and Xi Jinping stood shoulder to shoulder in a state-of-the-art command center, surrounded by digital maps and live feeds, projecting an image of an unbreakable partnership to their people and the world. Their joint statement, delivered to a global audience, declared the dawn of a new era of strategic coordination. They condemned what they called Western hegemonic behavior, vowing to stand together against outside interference. The timing was no accident. Just weeks after NATO's latest expansion, and a surge in U.S. naval patrols in the contested waters of the South China Sea, Moscow and Beijing's message was unmistakable. For both capitals, these maneuvers were a direct response to what they saw as Western encirclement, a tightening noose that threatened their sovereignty and ambitions. What had once been a theoretical alliance discussed in hushed tones and diplomatic cables was now a stark reality, built on shared grievances, mutual suspicion of the West, and a desire to reshape the global order in their own image. Energy deals flowed alongside military cooperation, with new pipelines and trade agreements binding the two nations closer each day. Diplomats worked overtime, forging ties in technology, intelligence, and even space exploration. Yet beneath the surface, the alliance was more fragile than it appeared. Negotiations were tense, and old suspicions lingered just out of sight. The handshakes were firm for the cameras, but the smiles were thin, betraying the underlying mistrust that history had etched into both sides. Echoes of past conflicts and uneasy alliances haunted their proclamations of eternal friendship, reminding all that this partnership was born of necessity, not genuine affection. This was a pact forged in the fires of confrontation, not in the warmth of true trust. The drills were as much about preparing for future threats as they were about showing unity. It was, at its core, a temporary alignment, an alliance of convenience, born from the pressures of a rapidly changing world order. While the world's attention was fixed on their combined strength, few noticed the deeper truth. These ancient empires, each with their own ambitions and histories, were destined to clash as often as they cooperated. The stage was set for a partnership as volatile and unpredictable as the times that created it. A pact forged in fire, destined to be tested by the storms ahead. The Russia-China partnership is best described as a marriage of convenience, not conviction. While both nations present a united front to the world, their alliance is built on necessity, rather than genuine trust or shared values. Since the 2022 invasion of Ukraine, Russia has found itself increasingly isolated by sweeping Western sanctions. Cut off from many global markets, Moscow turned to Beijing, seeking economic lifelines to keep its economy afloat and maintain some semblance of normalcy. China, ever pragmatic, seized the opportunity. It secured cheap Russian energy, locking in favorable deals for oil and gas, while also gaining a strategic partner in its ongoing rivalry with the United States. For Beijing, this was a chance to expand its influence and secure resources on its own terms. Today, China is Russia's largest buyer of oil and gas, while Russian markets are flooded with Chinese goods, filling the void left by departing Western brands. Freight trains and pipelines now form the backbone of this new economic axis. On the world stage, especially at the United Nations, they vote in unison, championing the idea of a multipolar world order to counterbalance American dominance and Western influence. Their alliance is held together by a shared antagonism toward the West, rather than any deep ideological alignment. Both see the Western-led order as a threat to their ambitions and sovereignty. Yet, beneath the surface, their motivations differ. Russia clings to memories of past imperial glory, seeking respect and relevance. China, meanwhile, looks forward, focused on achieving global dominance and reshaping the world to suit its interests. While both countries are authoritarian, Their political systems and cultures are fundamentally different, making true unity elusive. This is, at its core, a transactional relationship. Each side remains committed only as long as the benefits outweigh the costs, and both are keenly aware of this reality. The moment that balance shifts, cracks will inevitably appear, exposing the fragility of their partnership. Their unity is practical, not passionate, a calculated alliance rather than a heartfelt bond. The old adage applies, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but only for now. Suspicion and caution linger beneath the surface. When their interests inevitably diverge, so too will their paths, reminding the world that convenience, not conviction, is the true foundation of their alliance. To grasp the Russia-China pact, you must see the world through their eyes. Moscow feels encircled. NATO's eastward march has erased its buffer zones, fueling a siege mentality. Every new NATO base is seen as a direct threat, driving Russia to seek powerful allies. China, meanwhile, feels caged by the US-allied First Island chain, blocking its access to the Pacific. American naval patrols near its shores are a constant reminder of US dominance. For Beijing, maritime containment threatens both its economy and its goal of unifying with Taiwan. US alliances in Asia stand in the way of China's ambitions. Russia looks to China to balance NATO. China looks to Russia as a strategic rearguard. Both feel cornered. Both seek to break free. Their partnership is a response to shared threats, not shared dreams. Together, they hope to tip the balance of global power. Russia's history is shaped by invasion and the constant need for security. For centuries, waves of foreign armies have swept across its vast lands, leaving deep scars on the national psyche. From the Mongol hordes to Napoleon's Grand Army, and later the devastation of World War II, these traumatic events have forged a culture of vigilance and suspicion. Its flat, open geography has made it vulnerable for centuries, driving a relentless quest for buffer zones. With few natural barriers, Russia's heartland is exposed, making defense a perpetual challenge. This geography has shaped not only military strategy, but also the Russian worldview, one that sees threats everywhere and values depth over openness. Control over Ukraine, Belarus, and the Caucasus is seen as vital to national survival. These regions serve as protective shields, absorbing the first blows of any invasion. Losing influence here is, for Moscow, an existential risk. NATO's expansion eastward triggered deep historical fears in Moscow. The alliance's presence on Russia's doorstep is viewed not just as a political threat, but as a direct challenge to its security and sovereignty. The war in Ukraine is, for Russia, a desperate attempt to push the West back. It's a brutal assertion of its right to a sphere of influence, no matter the cost in lives or international condemnation. This fortress mentality defines Russian foreign policy: suspicious, zero-sum, and power-driven. Every move is calculated to maximize security and minimize vulnerability, even if it means isolation. Russia seeks allies who share its worldview. China fits the bill, at least for now. Both countries see themselves as counterweights to Western power, united by a sense of grievance and ambition. Beijing doesn't criticize Moscow's actions or values. Instead, it offers diplomatic cover and economic partnership, strengthening the bond between the two powers. Both reject the Western rules-based order as a tool of US dominance. They argue for a multipolar world where no single power dictates the rules. But Russia's obsession with controlling Eurasia will eventually clash with China's expanding influence. As Beijing invests in Central Asia and builds new trade routes, competition is inevitable. While Moscow pushes back against the West, it risks missing Beijing's quiet advance from the East. China's economic power is reshaping the region, often without firing a shot. The alliance is comfortable, but uneasy. Beneath the surface, mistrust lingers, and both sides quietly prepare for a future where interests may diverge. The heartland Russia seeks to protect may soon be contested by its own partner. In the vast expanse of Eurasia, today's ally could become tomorrow's rival. China's gaze is fixed on the sea, not the steppe. Its top priority, reunifying Taiwan, shattering the US-led First Island chain, and gaining open access to the Pacific. The second, securing vital supply lines, especially oil and gas, most of which pass through the vulnerable Strait of Malacca. In a crisis, the US Navy could choke off these lifelines, threatening China's economy and military. To counter this, China is building a world-class navy and investing in the Belt and Road Initiative to create overland trade routes. Here, Russia is crucial. Its vast resources and secure land routes help China bypass maritime choke points. Every pipeline from Siberia is one less tanker at risk. In China's grand strategy, Russia is a resource-rich hinterland and a useful distraction for the US. The partnership is strategic, but not equal. For Beijing, Russia is a means to an end. On paper, Russia and China's economies are a perfect match. Russia, rich in oil, gas, and minerals, lost its Western markets after invading Ukraine. China, the world's manufacturing powerhouse, needs endless resources. China buys Russian energy at a discount, delivered by pipelines immune to naval blockades. In return, Russia gets Chinese goods and capital, stabilizing its economy under sanctions. The relationship looks balanced, but the power dynamic is lopsided. Russia is becoming dependent on China, not just for trade, but for technology and investment. Moscow is shifting from European power to Beijing's junior partner. China dictates prices and terms, gaining leverage with every deal. Economic dependency will soon become political influence. Russia is trading long-term sovereignty for short-term survival. The bargain is risky, and may haunt Moscow in the years ahead. The win-win narrative hides a growing imbalance. Officially, Russia and China proclaim unbreakable friendship, but history tells another story. Their long border was drawn in blood and unequal treaties that still sting in Chinese memory. In the 19th century, Russia seized Outer Manchuria, including Vladivostok, a humiliation China has never forgotten. The 1969 Damansky Island clash nearly brought them to war, exposing deep mistrust beneath the surface. Today, the border is peaceful, but old wounds linger. Chinese maps still reference lost territories. Russian leaders eye China's ambitions warily. Their current alliance papers over, but does not erase centuries of rivalry. The ghosts of the Amur River are dormant, not dead. Trust is thin, and history is never far away. Central Asia was once Russia's uncontested backyard, a buffer and a prize, but China has quietly redrawn the map using investment, infrastructure, and trade instead of troops. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, Beijing has become the region's top trading partner and creditor. Central Asian leaders now look to China for growth, learning Mandarin and aligning with Beijing's interests. Russia still provides security, but its economic influence is fading. The division of labor, Russia as security guarantor, China as economic engine, cannot last. Economic power brings political influence, and China's rise is a direct challenge to Moscow's authority. Russia is losing its backyard to its supposed partner. The Russia-China alliance is a force reshaping global politics, but it's built on shifting sand. Their partnership is a temporary alignment against American power, masking deep long-term rivalry. Russia is a declining power, China a rising one. The imbalance grows with every year. As Russia becomes more dependent, it risks becoming a vassal to Beijing. Historical grievances, demographic imbalances, and China's expansion into Central Asia all threaten the alliance. The friendship without limits will last only as long as the US is seen as the main threat. When that changes, old tensions will resurface, the alliance of convenience will fracture, and rivalry will return. Russia's focus on the West blinds it to the greater challenge from the East. In the end, China's ambitions and power may prove to be Russia's greatest threat. The story of their partnership is far from over, and its ending is anything but certain.